As far as the highs and lows go of 2010 for the container swaps market, it's really been it's been the start of the market, and we've seen it progress incredibly rapidly. So I guess the high would be the fact that it actually came into existence, and it's only really grown from there. And especially if we look at it compared to other derivatives markets, so we look at how long it took FFAs, that's the dry bulk freight agreements, to get off the ground. It's come leaps and leaps and bounds, and it's attracted a huge amount of interest, a huge amount of press interest, quite a lot of controversy, which is always good. It's got people talking about it and people thinking about how the industry works. Obviously we've done a number of trades, which has been really great to show the support behind the market. We've seen the first line get involved, we've seen the first end users get involved, and we've seen the first speculators get involved as well. So we've got a full range of participants now. The expectations for the swaps market in 2011 are definitely positive. So I think the easiest way to see that is the amount of time and money that the organisations who are researching and pushing into this market, how much they're willing to spend getting it going. So, you know, we've got more and more brokers coming in, and we're hiring a really good guy from Maersk who's starting, called Richard Heath, who'll be joining us tomorrow. It's really looking like people are starting to come around, and one of the really natural parts of progressing this market has been the renegotiation of long-term contracts, because this is where a lot of talk about risk management comes into play. How can we get a good rate? How can we make sure that we don't make the same mistakes that we did last year? How can we make sure we improve on next year? So that's I think going to be a big help for us moving into the first quarter of next year. In January we'll see a lot more people signing index-linked contracts, for example, which there are a couple of big lines who are on the point of signing their first index-linked contracts with end users. And once that, so an index-linked contract is essentially a spot contract where instead of paying a fixed rate, an end user will pay, so that's a supermarket or an MBOCC will pay a fixed rate for 60% of their freight, and then leave the rest of their freight open to the index, so the Shanghai Containerized Freight Index, and so their rate will change in accordance with that index. And the moment we see those kind of deals start to come into play, which they are already, we'll see much more index-linked exposure and a need for people to look at the swaps market to manage that risk flexibly and in their own time. IFW has been a fantastic platform to speak to the market about. Obviously it has a large number of subscribers, and it's been great working with the team to make sure that we get all the right news in place and make sure that people understand what's going on. We always feel that of all of the people to educate them in this market, that the press are probably the most important, because that's how the message gets out there. People read the press other than our direct contact. So it's been really excellent to see so much support and so many questions coming in from people asking about this industry, and the feedback has been a fantastic way to gauge the interest, the huge amounts of interest that have come in, and as well how much work we still have to do to educate the market and explain to them how a swap works, and to in some ways demystify swaps, because a lot of people hear the word swap and think credit default swaps and this is the end of the financial industry, but in fact it's nothing like that at all. So IFW has been a fantastic way to get out and talk to people about this. A huge amount is just getting the word out there. It's surprising how few people actually know about this, despite the large amount of people who do. There's a certain amount of penetration that still needs to go on into the more operational ends of the market. You know, we speak to a lot of the finance guys and a lot of the heads of the logistics departments, but it's the sort of the everyday. The change really needs to come from within the industry, so it's educating people about the fact that an index now exists, that there's price transparency in the market. If people are looking for a price, that they can look to the forward curve on the swaps market for future pricing, so they can say, well, what's the price going to be in Cal 11? And these are things that everyday people in the logistics industry can use on a daily basis, regardless or not of whether they trade swaps. And these are important changes that need to come through. And it was great. We did a panel event. It was great to see the room absolutely full, you know, to the brink. And we're doing a talk tomorrow, and hopefully we'll have the same kind of response. And we get a lot of feedback from the industry, a lot of questions and insightful comments that we can't get in any other way than to open it to a wide platform. It's going to be very interesting to watch what's going to happen over the next 12 months, and a lot of it will be indicated by the uncertainty of the next 3 or 4 months in themselves. there's a huge amount of uncertainty about what's going to happen with container management, with the management of the idle fleet, for example. And if the liners aren't careful, we could see a run like we did in 2009, 2010, and that obviously would be devastating for the industry. So the forward curve is showing fairly flat Q1, Q2, fairly muted peak season. The belief is there's going to be more of a spread of the peak season over the course of the year rather than a big jump in Q3, much like we saw this year. But like I said, who knows? It will be very interesting to watch what happens in the next couple of weeks, especially.